Oh, welcome to the stream. It's me. It's Daniel. Hi. Hello, hello. Welcome. Yeah, hope you're enjoying your weekend. I'm enjoying it more now that I don't have to be at work, and I'm excited to talk manga tonight. As I always am. I'm excited to talk manga at all times. Um Today the manga I will be talking is the Shonen Jump Winter 2025 preview. Um, yes, sirree, yes, sir, yes, sir. And it's a me, Danielo. It sure is. Oh my God, yeah. Um, and yeah, give me give me a minute here because I'm doing a lot of the setup on the fly tonight. Um, that, okay. So, yeah, this fine evening, um, I will be doing a preview of the next batch of Shonen Jump manga. So what the hell am I talking about? Well, I'd love to let you know, because for once I do know what the hell I'm talking about. Um, Shonen Jump is arguably the most popular manga magazine that runs in Japan. Um, and it's home to pretty much a lot of the biggest series internationally. Like a lot of the big anime you know about is probably Shonen Jump, right? One Piece is Shonen Jump, Naruto, Dragon Ball, Haikyuu, Prince of Tennis, Bleach, uh, Chainsaw Man. That all came from Shonen Jump, baby. That's all Shonen Jump. Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer. That's all Shonen Jump. Um, so me, uh, one of my incredibly cool hobbies is I follow I follow what series debut in Shonen Jump and which ones leave the magazine, because yeah, like Shonen Jump is kind of whatever runs in Shonen Jump um is kind of a potential window into what's going to be like the new anime hotness in the eventual future. Um so so there's that, but also running in Shonen Jump isn't a guarantee that that it'll be the new anime hotness, because Shonen Jump is also very cutthroat, very strict about what they keep in the magazine. Um, so like, generally um for every hot new Shonen Jump series you see get like an anime or whatever, 10 other series lasted for about 4 to 6 months before they got removed from the magazine entirely. Um, so yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I've just enjoyed for years now, kind of following along and seeing what gets added to the magazine, what ends up staying, um, because they like to add things and remove things in batches. Like I'd say somewhere between 3 and 5 times a year. Somewhere between 3 and 6 times a year. Shonen Jump um will remove some series from the magazine, whether they are series that are ending naturally or series that get canceled after about like 20 to 50 chapters. Um, and um, and then they debut around the same number of new series, right? Like if they take two or three series out of the magazine, uh they might add 3 or 4 series into the magazine around the same time period, or vice versa. So this time, this batch, the winter 2025 batch, they have removed 3 series from the magazine. um Two of them are kind of series that have reached their natural conclusion, and one of them is a cancellation. um and they're adding 2. They're removing 3 and they're only adding 2 this time. So we'll talk about those removals. We'll talk about those additions, um, and yeah, kind of see what we think the lifespan of those additions is going to be. I guess I guess before, yeah, no, yeah, you just finished volume 2 of episode Nagi. That's cool. That's cool. We haven't gotten around to episode Nagi yet. We haven't really caught up since where we are in the manga of Blue Lock right now is about where the first season of the anime ended. We haven't gotten any farther yet, but we'd like to. We do really like Blue Lock. We are really enjoying Blue Lock. Um, so last time, that's funny actually. The batch I talked about last time a does include a cancellation actually, which is funny. So so first things first, let's talk about the long running series that are ending this season. Um, First series that is ending. Do I have it? Do I have it on the? So disorganized these days. Okay. Do I really? Hmm. Okay, I guess maybe I'll just add it. So the first series that ended this season is Yozakura Family. Um, so this is one of the longest running series. This was after One Piece the longest running series in the magazine. If you don't count Hunter x Hunter, which is kind of irregular right now. Very irregular, in fact. And I think I've talked about Yozakura Family before. I definitely have, especially in my like my year reviews. I've always thought Yozakura Family series about a boy whose childhood friend is actually the matriarch of a mafia family that all have special powers. Um and uh and her older brother who uh even you, a manga hater, know about Yozakura Family. You don't really hate manga. um Well, that just means you've been around for me explaining things. Because Yozakura Family isn't that big. Maybe you're thinking of Spy Family, but you know Spy Family well enough that you wouldn't mistake it for Yozakura Family. Anyway, um, the girl's older brother, one of the worst character archetypes in anime, um, is so obsessive over his sister that he tries to kill the protagonist. Um, because the Yozakura family is allowed to kill anyone as long as they're not a family member. Finding out about that loophole, the main character uh, proposes to his childhood friend, and by marrying into the family, he is a family member and cannot be killed by her older brother. And then that turns into kind of an action manga where he gets wrapped up in manga shit. I think he gets a blood transfusion from his girlfriend, wife, childhood friend at one point, and gets Yozakura family powers. And yeah, like there was a lot about Yozakura family that was fun. Um, and it was also filled with like really annoying, gross manga tropes, like anime tropes, like more than a series I would usually read. I don't think I would have read this for more than like 30 chapters if this wasn't in Shonen Jump and I wasn't like kind of following Shonen Jump as a hobby, you know? But but yeah, it sure did run for a while. For astonishingly long actually. Like it just managed to debut at a really lucky time. Like so many series that debuted before it were doing really badly. So Yozakura Family like did kind of okay in sales for its first volume and then just kind of coasted off of that for years. um yeah, it outlived a lot of other series just by being selling like just good enough to not get like axed or like whenever whenever there was a point where like, when things were looking iffy for it, a long running series would end and there would be enough space in the magazine for Yozakura family to keep surviving. Um yeah, like this series was fine. Um it did the last arc of it was a time skip arc that took place like 5 years later, and like, it focused mainly on Taiyo and Matsumi's kids, Taiyo and Matsumi being the two main characters there. Um and they had a twin son and daughter who also had Yozakura family powers. They also had special abilities, and yeah, that last arc was a lot of fun. It still had dumb anime problems, but it was largely a lot of fun. And yeah, there definitely were like it the series really had some wonderful moments. Um but I think mostly it's just kind of astonishing it lasted this long. It ran for 5.5 years. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. There's a lot of better manga that ended way earlier than this. Uh but yeah, I guess I don't harbor too much ill will towards it. It did have its moments. It does have its positive qualities. Um but overall was kind of like a 6.5 out of 10 manga that just like stayed in the magazine for a really long time. Um on the other hand, another long running series ended. Actually, if this was the second most long running series in the magazine up till this point, the third longest running series up to this point also ended uh like last week. Um yeah, you just happen to remember Yozakura family. Yeah. Congratulations on that. Yeah. Yeah, different series just happened to not just happened. Yeah, a different long running series did end last week. And that's Undead Unluck. Um and yeah, good riddance. Good riddance. Like Undead Unluck is a very complicated manga, I guess. In that it started in like the it's it's got one of the worst first volumes of manga I've read, especially for a series that debuted in the 2020s. And apparently after that point, it like backtracks, it really cleans up its acts, it becomes a really great manga, but like the first volume is so like horrendous that I never read past that point. Um and like and dozens of every time I uh do one of my like the last year in manga like tier list videos, I'll put Undead Unluck in the trash tier, and in each of those videos I think there's at least one comment that there's like, hey, you gotta give Undead Unluck another shot. Undead Unluck is peak, and like, I don't know, if you want me to give your manga like, a fair shot, then I don't know, don't make the very first color spread of your manga like the girl protagonist getting groped by the guy protagonist, and the guy protagonist like with a big shit eating grin while he does it. I don't know, like it. Ugh. I'm so glad that Unluck is over so that I don't have to have this conversation with people anymore. People that were really into Undead Unluck, people that didn't consider the beginning a deal breaker and like have been preaching it this whole time, they're gonna, you know, they're gonna talk about how sad they are that the series is over, uh, for for a couple weeks probably, and then I will rarely have to hear about the series again. you know, like I'll now I can only see this. I only have to see this converse. Only have to see the series pop up in conversation occasionally instead of like almost weekly. And it's so icky. Thank you. Like it's so weird. Like I'm like like I'm in a manga community. Like I'm on a manga Discord that like for the most part like is like I'd say it's the least creepy manga community I've ever tried to join. Um, like uh most like people there like largely like aren't cool with underage characters getting sexualized and aren't like just the kind of weirdos that you run into in a lot of manga communities. But for some reason a whole bunch of them are just big Undead Unluck fans. Even and they'll be like, no, look, the first the first 10 chapters are pretty bad, but then it gets so good and you really like it's and like I don't know, man. Like I was about to say like if Romeo and Juliet started with Romeo being like a fucking creep for like the first 20 pages of the script, uh but it kind of does. But I guess also like you can argue that like uh that the original intent of that script isn't for Romeo's behavior to be romanticized and like looked at in a positive light. Anyway, yeah, I will not really have to bring Undead Unluck much anymore. I will not have to bring Undead Unluck up much anymore. And that is the greatest gift that Shonen Jump has given me in 2025 so far. You checked you checked out the first volume in the library parking lot and immediately threw all three back in the return box. It's incredible. Like like my first experience with Undead Luck was reading the first chapter, and boy, it fucking sucked. Right? Um, dang, I should do a Shakespeare stream. Let me know next time Shakespeare drops a new debut, and I'll be there, baby. When the next Shakespeare series comes out, I will come back from stream hiatus if I have to. Uh yeah, like my very first experience was reading the first chapter then dropping it. And then someone was like, "Hey, like first I read like the first two or three chapters and then dropped it." And then someone was like, "Hey, first like first three or four chapters are rough and then like it gets better after that and like they really drop it immediately." So I'm like, "Okay." And then I read the first volume and they do not drop it immediately. They don't drop it as immediately as that person claimed. Um and it's just a full volume of like of this guy uh just playing fast and loose with consent, finding creative ways to do so uh for just 200 pages. And and yeah, after I was burned in that way, I'm like I'm not giving this another chance ever again, and I haven't. And and now and now in addition to me being done, we can all be done. Thank you, Shonen Jump. Uh, Under the Luck was also kind of funny in that like um in that it stayed in the magazine a lot longer than you'd expect. Like like I said, the Yozakura family's sales were okay. Undead Unluck sales were slightly worse than Yozakura family, and not only that, it got an anime adaptation, and the sales boost, like a big point, a big point of one of Shueisha's biggest business models is to like they'll debut a bunch of manga. The manga that is moderately popular, they will give anime adaptations. The reason they give those things anime adaptations is um because a series with an anime, like when a series gets an anime, it boosts the sales of the manga. It makes the manga sell more. Like that's the main reason you'll see an anime adaptation of anything from Shueisha. Um so if the anime boost that a manga gets is like kind of lackluster, you will see that manga end like within a year. um and Undead Unluck's sales boost from the anime was like almost non-existent. Like it did not get a noticeable sales bump at all. So the fact that it got like 2 more years of life after like its shitty anime debut, um yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like someone on the editorial team must have really liked Undead Unluck and wanted the author to like see the series through. Uh so yeah, it's done. I guess on the bright side, I'm interested to see what the author does next, because like he because it's really interesting that like he he started with the series that was very like gropey, very uncomfortable, just like kind of made a bunch of sexual assault jokes and kind of made light of that kind of thing in a way that just felt like really really gross and really bad. Um but then like, you know, but then eventually like removes those elements from a series entirely and just tries to make a good series from there. Um the damage has been done. The damage has been done. You have a series that starts as a deal breaker for me, and you know, I'm not going to, like, you've already kind of tainted that experience for me. It's really hard for me to look over. Um so like that's, the Undead Unlock experience is already fucked for me. However, if you make your next series with the mindset of not doing that shit again, I feel like his next series could be really great. Uh so I guess we'll see. Winter 2025 Shakespeare predictions. I predict that Shakespeare will not come back from the dead and make a new book. And yeah, but uh those are the two long running series that ended. So why don't I talk about the last batch that I covered? The last batch, um I refresh my own memory on what series were in the last batch. Right. So the last time I did this, when I did the fall 2024 Shonen Jump preview, um, it was three series debuts. Three series debuted, right? So I'll check in. Holy shit, what a prediction. Yeah, I know. I got some good ones. I got some good ones. So yeah, three series debuted last time. Um, One of them was Ichi the Witch, which I'm happy to report rules. Ichi the Witch is awesome. And it's selling really well. The first volume sold really well. It sold out almost instantly. They're already ordering reprints of it. Ichi the Witch is about a boy who gains witch powers in a society where only women can be witches. Um, and and I thought that, I wasn't really jazzed about the premise when I heard about it. But it's a great execution of the premise, mainly because um, they don't really make it about sexism. They make it more about like classism. Um, like basically like the witch society is very like bourgeois. It's very like, you know, like everyone's like really presentable and very rich and classy looking, and then Ichi, the main character, is just like this feral boy that lives in the forest up until he gets witch powers. And he's this fish out of water in in high bred super classy like witch society, and he clearly he wasn't even washing his ass before he got thrust into this world. He's probably still refusing to on principle, honestly. And lots of great character dynamics have been born from that. And Descaris, that black queen in the background there, she's awesome. She's a great character. I do love her a lot. She finally got a spotlight in a recent chapter, and yeah, Ichi the Witch is great. Actually, it's great. I was hoping it would be great because the writer also does Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun, which I have a delightful time with as well. Um, and yeah, this was the artist of Act Age, who didn't do anything wrong. Um, the writer of Act Age got caught up in a scandal, leaving the artist out of a job, and what a job the artist has wound up with. Yeah, Ichi the Witch is great, and I anticipate this becoming like a new staple of the magazine. Like as I mentioned, like the the oldest series in the magazine besides One Piece and Hunter x Hunter debuted in 2020 at this point. Like there's a lot of young blood in the magazine. So like all the new faces of Shonen Jump are magazines that are series that have only been around for like a couple of years, Sakamoto Days is one of the faces of the magazine right now. That was a 2020 series. Akane Banashi is kind of one of the faces of the magazine now, and that's like 2022, I think. Um, Kakeru Bashi is quickly becoming one of the faces of the magazine, and that just debuted last year. 2023, I guess. So technically 2 years ago, but we're talking like 14 months ago, like 14, 15 months ago. Um, So yeah, I think Ichi the Witch is going to be a big deal. I think that's just going to get an anime. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a big deal. We'll see. There have been series with strong starts that have kind of petered out. Um, I'm I'm kind of witnessing a couple of those in the magazine right now. Like I feel like Kill Blue is in the process of petering out. I think Nue's Exorcist is in the process of petering out. I and that's not really heartbreaking for me for either of those cases. But yeah, I think Ichi the Witch is a big one. I think it's going to be around for a while. Clearly, he wasn't even washing his ass before he got thrust into this world. Is an incredible quote out of context. I'm here for you. I'm here. Me and my quotes are here for you. The next series that was in the next batch was in the last batch with Shinobi Goto, which is now known as Shinobi Undercover. It's about a ninja boy who is um assigned to be the retainer of this regular civilian girl attending high school, but she can't know that ninja retainers are looking after her. So masquerade as a student and try to help her have a regular high school girl life, even though she's being targeted by assassins. Um, and this was from the creators of Candy Flurry, which I loved. Candy Flurry being a battle manga about people with candy powers, like like swinging around big ass lollipops like they're swords, or like shooting exploding popcorn kernels at people. Um, Shinobi Undercover has a lot of the same like sense of humor that Candy Flurry did, which I enjoy. But ultimately, like it's not as interesting to me. It's not the story just isn't really hooking me. The main conceit is like fine, but I'm not really gripped by it. Um, the kind of the levity of the writing is really its greatest strength, and I don't know if that's enough for it to really last for a while. I could honestly, I could see myself when I do the spring 2025 Shonen Jump preview. I could see myself talking about how this series got canceled. However, it is still currently running in the magazine, and I hope for the author's sake, I hope for the duo that makes this series, I hope for them that it gets to run for a little longer, because I like them. I want them to keep a job, but also I kind of hope that like if the series does end, that they come up with a third series concept that is better than this. But here is the series that did end. That's ending tomorrow, actually. Like I will be reading the last chapter of the series tomorrow. Um, and that's Hakutaku, the manga about the game developers. And I love video games. I was so excited for this story as a concept. Um, I thought it had the potential to be kind of the Bakuman of video game manga. Bakuman being a manga about manga artists that enter the manga industry and actually end up working for Shonen Jump. It was a very fun, very meta series. That was filled with like manga within a manga. It was filled with like a whole bunch of characters in the series were like were making their own manga, and we got like a bunch of lore about these stories within the story. And Bakuman was a blast, and I thought that Hakutaku could also be a blast. I thought it could come up with a bunch of stories like games that were made as within the fiction of Hakutaku. I thought it could be a really fun uh yeah, really fun thing. But Hakutaku kind of sucked. It wasn't very good. um you kind of got the vibe that the author didn't really care that much about video games or game design. um like uh I'd say about 2/3 of the series up till now has been about the main cast making an AR game that just like the way they're making it feels completely unrealistic. And I don't know, it didn't get me. It didn't hook me. The first couple chapters had promise. It felt like they were kind of really heavily implying the protagonist was autistic in a way that was kind of progressive for Japan, and they did not really stick to that at all. Yeah, it's a shame because I think if you hand the concept of a video game development manga to the right person, that they could make a huge hit. But this is not the person that made a huge hit out of that concept. Um, so yeah, Hakutaku is Gakutaku. It's gone. It's out of here. Um, so goodbye Hakutaku. There's another series that debuted that I did not cover, that I did not give a preview stream to because it was just one series that debuted by itself. I think I talked about it during my during one of my tier list streams. Um yeah, that's ah, right. That is Sid Craft, Love is a Mystery. Um and yeah, this debuted near the end of the publication year for Shonen Jump. I think when I did my tier list, like literally one or two chapters of the series had come out. And yeah, it's fun. It's cute. It's basically kind of a romantic comedy, right? About a great detective with a very cool, suave personality who secretly is an anxious mess that just wants to read romance novels instead of solving crimes, but crimes keep finding him. Um, and he's an incredible detective, but he's oblivious to really all matters when it comes to kind of uh, like basically there are all sorts of romantic opportunities that come across him, but he's oblivious to all of them. Um, mainly, um, mainly the girl on the right, Inspector Souffle Flanberry. By the way, the names in this are incredible. Um, because this takes place in England. These characters are all British. Um, so Souffle Flamberry is, unbeknownst to him, his first childhood crush, who uh, who told him that when they grew up they should solve mysteries together. Um, and yeah, and unbeknownst to him, she became a police inspector in pursuit of this goal, and neither of them realize that the other person is their childhood love, their first love. The girl on the left is his assistant. Sorry, the person on the left is his assistant, Elio Evelyn, who in the first chapter, we are he Elio is introduced as his male assistant. By the end of that chapter, you find out that Elio is a girl pretending to be a boy, um, because Sid Kraft uh put out a job listing for only a male assistant because he can't talk to women. Um, and yeah, so both of these girls kind of have a lot of affection for Sid Kraft, and he doesn't realize it at all. And other, like, it's kind of a harem uh manga. Like, there are other characters that have been introduced that are kind of love interests for Sid Kraft, but he doesn't realize that they're love interests for him. Like, there's this girl that is kind of like uh she's kind of the whatever Sherlock Holmes's girlfriend's name is. I don't know. She's a phantom thief, basically. Um and Sid Kraft and the Phantom Thief are like rivals, but he doesn't recognize her when she's in her civilian identity, and they have like a chemistry when she's a civilian. Just shit like that. It's cute. It's cute. Irene Adler, thank you. Yeah, she's not really cunning enough to be his Irene Adler, actually. Um, but I feel like I feel like the author found out about the concept of Irene Adler and then did whatever he wanted with that concept. There's also kind of a Moriarty character in this named Zero Craft, who is who is creating like crises for Sid Craft to solve and leaving him notes and stuff. And this character is clearly a hot woman. Um, that is eventually also going to be a love interest for him. Yeah, I don't know, like what if Sherlock Holmes was only had Sherlock's personality on the surface, but internally he was like a dorky romance anime protagonist. That's what Sid Craft is. Um, and also like, what if Watson and uh and Lestrade and Moriarty and Irene Adler, what if they were all cute girls? That's what Sid Craft is. And it's fun. It's cute. Yeah, I kind of love the concept, not gonna lie. It's actually a great concept. Um, yeah, I don't, I'm not convinced that I will still be talking about this series this time next year, you know? Um, well, I it's funny whenever I talk about manga stuff, I forget uh that streams are going to go on hiatus starting in March. Um, so will I even do like a spring 2025 preview? Um, that's a good question. I feel like you know, regular streams will stop, but that doesn't preclude me from doing irregular streams. So I feel like my end of the year tier list could still be something that I come back to do. We'll see. Um, I'm not committing to anything right now. We're gonna see where pieces fall, but uh, either way, I don't. I'm not convinced that this series is going to survive uh for very long. I do enjoy, I am enjoying it. But I don't know if Japanese teenagers are really invested in this romantic comedy starring British adults. I mean, I would be if I were a Japanese teenager, but I'm not your average Japanese teenager, am I? Uh yeah. Yeah, this one other thing I do have to say about Sid Craft is that um the author of Sid Craft is the author of We Never Learn, which was a successfully running romantic comedy series in Shonen Jump. Um, Basically about a boy in the senior year of high school that tutors uh initially two, but eventually several girls trying to get into their dream school. Um and each girl that he tutors is incredibly smart and capable. Like kind of borderline a genius, but each has like one weakness that he's like tutoring them in. You know, like uh one of the girls he tutors is like a mathematical genius, but she's shit at English and she needs to hit like a like a minimum like English score in order to get into her dream school, right? So he's kind of tutoring these very smart girls in their weaknesses, and of course romance gets tied into that. That was the last series of this person, and it did pretty well. The thing I've noticed, and this could just be a pattern that I'm making up, but this is a thing that I've noticed, is that when when a manga author is a success, when they manage to run a success in Shonen Jump, when they come back with a new series, if that series is in the same genre um as their success, as their last success, that series tends to not do as well and ultimately like kind of fail in the magazine, you know? Um the authors that tend to be successful in the magazine more than once are authors that like switch up genres. Like, the mangaka whose series are very different from their previous series are the ones that tend to succeed more than once. Like for example, Akira Toriyama, right? His first real success in Shonen Jump was Doctor Slump, a gag manga. And then his next big series after that was Dragon Ball, which actually did start as kind of a comedy, but it evolved into, kind of one of the progenitors of battle manga as we know it today. Um uh and either way, like, um you know, uh Dr. Slump was still very kind of an episodic gag comedy, and Dragon Ball even in the beginning was like more of an adventure comedy, so they were pretty different series from each other. And yeah, Akira Toriyama, big success, big famous guy. Um, but on the flip side, the author of Kuroko no Basketball, like a pretty big success in the magazine, a basketball manga. When he came back with another sports series, when he came back with Robot Laser Beam, um, it had a strong start, but sales got really lackluster, and that ended up being kind of a big failure in the magazine. Um, he's now finding more success with his new series Kill Blue, which is not a sports manga at all. It's kind of an action comedy manga. Um, fucking the Naruto guy Kishimoto. He ran Naruto, incredibly crazily successful battle manga. Um, he came back with Samurai 8, another battle manga, another like very notable failure in the magazine. Um, so basically, this is all a long-winded way of saying, um, this guy succeeded with a romantic comedy in the magazine, so he's coming back with another romantic comedy, and I think ultimately that will kind of hurt him. I think, um, I think basically his fan base is going to spend too much time kind of comparing it to his previous work, like unfavorably, and I don't, um, or they'll think it's just more of the same, like kind of writing style, that kind of thing. Um, I will say that my theory has some holes in it. Uh, Togashi, the author of Yu Yu Hakusho, you know, vastly popular battle manga, um, did a science fiction story called Level E, which did not last in the magazine very long, and then came back with Hunter x Hunter, which is another vastly popular battle manga. Um, so I don't know. Maybe I'm full of shit. Who knows? Yeah. Either way, I do get a vibe that Sid Craft won't be in the magazine as long as I want it to be. I'm having fun with it, but yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be a big success. But it is still currently running in the magazine. Hasn't been canceled or anything. So, so yeah, that's all the recap and the stuff that ended. Two new series are debuting. One is debuting in the magazine tomorrow. The other is debuting in the magazine next Sunday. The first debut is called Embers. Um, it's called Embers, and and Embers is um a new sports manga, a soccer manga coming from a couple of relative newcomers. Um and it's about basically like a delinquent um who who's striving to be like the greatest soccer player basically. Um I'm not entirely wrong on the theory as Togashi's first Shonen Jump series was a romantic comedy that got canceled. And then afterwards, did Yu Yu Hakusho, which was a much bigger success. I mean, that's true. I always forget about his failed romantic comedy. Although, really, like, my point was is that authors rarely have two successes in the same genre in Shonen Jump. Togashi is an exception to that. His two big successes have both been battle manga. And in fact, they've been battle manga that are both very similar to each other. And like Hunter x Hunter just rips shit from Yu Yu Hakusho constantly. Um, I mean, maybe very similar is a bit reductive. Like they are two stories that are very distinct from each other. They have very different vibes. But still, they are the same genre, and it's almost the exact same cast of main characters initially. Like Leo Rio is a reskinned Kuwabara, Kurapika is a reskinned Kurama, and Kilo is a reskinned Hiei. All Togashi did was like he took those three characters and instead of putting them with Yusuke, they had them hang out with Goku. They're like, what if instead of hanging out with an asshole, they hung out with an adorable boy? And that decision did create a bunch of entirely different dynamics and a series that was a joy to read. I fucking love Hunter x Hunter. But anyway, Embers. Embers, yeah, is from a couple of relative newcomers. I think let me kind of refresh my memory here because I don't want to just like make up a bunch of stuff and have that be wrong, you know? Right. Um right, the author's name is the writer's name is Kurumazagi K, and there is no information on Kurumazagi K. Like no previous works have been found from this person at all, to the point that some people are theorizing that this is a pen name for someone maybe better known for other things. Um, but on the other hand, the artist is Nishi Sotaro, um, who's mostly just done one shots. Um, and he is they are kind of known for having kind of a very like very intense, very dynamic art style that really lends itself well to something like a sports manga. Um, they did a parkour one shot in 2023 um with 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 some pretty good art. Um and And yeah, the Embers will be about Haitani, the strongest delinquent, meeting his fated sport. Um, one sec. I just want to find like kind of the official description for it. Right. A bad apple finds a new way to fight on the soccer field. So basically, yeah, it looks like it's about a delinquent that likes fighting. Um, and it seems like he finds soccer as an alternative way to kind of use his aggression on the field, which is a fun concept. Here's what I'm worried about. Here's my concern with Embers. Um, Sports manga has been a really tough manga. Like it's been a really tough genre in Shonen Jump. It's been a very unlucky genre in Shonen Jump lately. Um, the only sports manga success um to run in the magazine, the most recent success has been Blue Box, um, like a badminton slash basketball manga that started in 2021. But it's very charitable to call it a badminton slash basketball manga because Blue Box is basically a romance manga with sports in it. Um, and every actual sports manga that has run in the magazine um, has gotten canceled, even if it was incredible. Like Green Green Greens, loved it. It got canceled. Uh, um, Martial Master Asami, loved it. Loved Martial Master Asami, incredible manga. Got canceled. And both of those ran for like less than a year in the magazine before getting canceled. Do Retry got canceled, but Do Retry was a little stupid. It was kind of a stupid manga, but it did get canceled. Um, like those sports manga were genuinely good. They were genuinely good. They had great art, great stories, but they ended. Although one thing about Martial Master Asami, the the author of Martial Master Asami ran a successful sports manga in the magazine before coming back with Martial Master Asami and that series being a failure. Like, yeah, there's a reason I have this theory. Anyway, um my unfortunate theory is that I think that Embers is going to be very good. I think the art's going to be excellent. I think it's going to be like a really fun and dynamic story. Um I think Japanese teenagers aren't going to latch onto it. I think I think Japanese teenagers that want a cool soccer story are already reading Blue Lock. and and yeah, I don't I think this is going to flop. I think it's going to be axed like within half a year. Um and then hopefully the artist comes back with like a cool battle manga cuz I like this guy's art. I like this guy's art. I think it's cool. But yeah, I do not see like a bright future for the series, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong because I would really like to see a sports manga succeed in the magazine, but one hasn't. Uh, like the only sports mangas that have succeeded in the magazine lately that I've seen succeed at all, really, in the industry are series that mix the sport uh with a different genre, you know? Like Blue Box mixes sports with romance. Blue Lock mixes soccer with like the battle royale genre, basically. Embers, what Embers needs is to have the word blue in the title. Then it'll do better. That guy's neck is kind of crazy. That is just like his fucking neck, isn't it? Yeah. Damn. Damn. Looking freaky. Um, but yeah, hopefully I'm wrong about that one. Hopefully this does okay. But I don't know. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I guess I'll find out if it's any good tomorrow. We'll see if it has any staying power. The second and final series debuting in this batch is a series called B no Seisen. Um, it's called B no Seisen, and and ah, not me, not me. B no Seisen is from. Oh, who is B no Seisen from? Uh, one sec, one sec. Hello, I'm back. So, yeah, sorry about that. Our lock, as the weather has been colder, to our front door has been really finicky, and my fiance had trouble getting in because I forgot to leave the door unlocked for him. So, um, but yes, my fiance is home safe. And yes, just this one series left called Be No Seisen. Um, It does not have an English name yet. I'm sure I feel like it's going to get um some kind of translated name. Um like I don't think it'll be called Be No Seisen in the US. Um but Be No Seisen is a series from Hayashi Morihiro. Um uh or Morihiro Hayashi. I'm not sure which is the first name and which is the last. You could probably figure that out pretty quickly. I feel like Morihiro is the first name. That's my guess. That does seem to be correct. Morihiro Hayashi. Um, it's Morihiro Hayashi is also a relative newcomer. It's a he. They did a series. They did a one shot for Golden Future Cup, which I mentioned a couple times on this here channel, which is basically a yearly competition that rookies enter the magazine with. They enter this competition in the magazine, and the winner basically gets guaranteed a serialization in the magazine. Um, Now, Morihiro Hayashi is not a Golden Future Cup winner, but I guess their one shot called Life Liar from Hell was cool enough that they got a series run anyway. Um, B no Seisen is apparently going to be a pianist comeback story. This is another thing that's very interesting because a pianist comeback story ran in the magazine a few years ago. It was called Pianisi Easy 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 Easimo. Pianisi Easy 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 Easimo. It was called PPPPPPP with six P's, um, and it was initially kind of blew up, and then it kind of petered out, and then it ended in a very daring and weird way, honestly. Um, but yeah, that was the story about a boy in a like a family of piano playing septuplets or something, and he was the only one that was kind of mediocre at playing the piano, and it's kind of about him deciding to play anyway because he loves the piano. That was PPPPPPP. Um, and like yeah, it was pretty wild. It was a pretty wild series. That ran for a little while, but then did get canceled. Um, so like so this also being a series about a piano player, um, I don't know how this is gonna go. My gut tells me that this is not gonna do very well in the magazine. I feel like honestly a series with this art style, and the concept of a pianist comeback story, I feel like a series like that should be running in like Young Jump, which ironically is not a version of Shonen Jump for young people. um, Young Jump uh is their sign-in magazine basically. Uh like Young Jump is series that are kind of meant for like young adults and like kind of slightly like older readers basically. It's like more serious, more edgy, more dark stuff. Um and I get the vibe that this would do better in that magazine than in Shonen Jump. I don't think people are going to be into this. I don't think the demographic is going to be into this. I feel like maybe I'll be into this, um, but I won't be enough for the series to do well. Um, and I hope I'm wrong because it is kind of a I also don't think that Embers will do well, and it is kind of a bummer uh when two series when entire batch just like flops out the gate. That's always kind of sad. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I like the art of this and the Life Wire from Hell one shot. I did read. It was kind of a very very cool, very emotional story, basically about a girl that's terminally ill. Her father basically sets her up, like basically, puts her up for an arranged marriage, like has a bunch of guys kind of line up at the door like as suitors, basically. Uh, like base like basically to kind of motivate her to live. It's like, oh, if we get you a husband, you'll want to live more. And one guy keeps showing up, like, being like, oh, you're the reincarnation of a princess, and I'm your knight. And he arrives every day with a different made up story. Like the next day, he's like, actually, uh we're not reincarnations. We're going to be reincarnated as lovers in the future in space. And then he comes back the next day and he's like, actually, we are Germans. And it's 1943 and we're starstruck lovers. Anyway, like it was a fun one shot actually. It was kind of, you know, weirdly tragic, pretty sad actually, but pretty cool. So I think this writer, this mangaka has some dramatic writing chops and can also kind of write things that are a little funny. So I think this has potential. I just think that the subject matter isn't really going to hook Japanese teenagers. Um yeah. Yeah, I think this is a weird batch. I think this is going to be a weird batch. Like sports manga and piano manga, two genres that have consistently failed in the magazine lately. So, uh, yeah, I guess all I can really do is report back on these as they debut and as they run in the magazine for a while. I kind of have a feeling that I'll get to do um that I'll get to do another of these previews before I go on hiatus. Uh I have a feeling that we're gonna get another batch before the end of March. I think the wait between batches is gonna be kind of short, especially because the magazine's only running 19 series right now. So I think that so yeah, so I think the next batch will be kind of soon. Um and that maybe something that's more likely to be a success will pop up in that next batch. I could also see something like a single series releases on its own in the next 4 to 8 weeks. Since there's a slot free. Um, and I tend to not do preview streams when there's only a single series to talk about. But yeah, yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. Sorry, my dog's walking around, which shouldn't be that big a deal, but his back legs weren't working for a large portion of today, so seeing him walk around kind of normally is, oh well, he's limping, but um anyway, sorry. You know what I mean, but it's funny hearing they're only publishing 19 series. Yeah. Um yeah, the number is 20. The number of series they usually run is 20. Sometimes it's 21 series when they're planning on ending a long-running series. Like actually most of last year had 21 series running because you know, uh they were running 21 and then they canceled. Well, they didn't cancel. Then they concluded My Hero Academia, and then they went back up to 21, and then they concluded Jujutsu Kaisen. Um, yeah, this might be the first time in a while that we've had under 21 series actually. Um, but yeah, yeah, only 19 right now. Only 19. But yeah, that's the preview. I think this is going to be an interesting batch. I think it's going to be a very interesting batch. I do get the vibe that neither series is really going to succeed. I bet that I feel like Be No Seisen is getting less than 20 chapters. Um and that Embers will run a bit longer than that, but still get will still run for less than a year. It will not make it to its 1 year anniversary. And if it does, I'll be very happy for it. But those are my guesses right now. I also think next batch I think I think in around 8 weeks, I'll be talking about um Shinobi Undercover ending. Um and I'll be talking about Hema 10 ending, I think. Um Hema 10 is from a couple batches ago. And it's, kind of a romance about a boy who's a professional cleaner. Um and and a girl who is like kind of a fashion idol, uh who like who basically has just transferred to his school, um and then he ends up being her cleaner and them kind of like navigating that, navigating him being her cleaner and her classmate at the same time. It started out kind of cute. It is got an increasingly fan servicey and increasingly harem-y um uh over the last couple months, and I think it's, yeah. I uh I I was actually kind of worried that Hema 10 was going to like get really popular, but like the first volume sold kind of okay, and then the second volume sold very kind of disappointingly, and yeah, I don't think it's gonna last much longer. I feel like it's gonna be on its way out the next batch. Imagine if Hakutaku somehow runs for like a few years. Oh, you were not here when I mentioned that that Hakutaku got canceled. Hakutaku's ending this week. The last chapter of Hakutaku runs tomorrow. It's not running for a few years. It's not even running for a few more days. Yeah, Hakutaku's done. Hakutaku is why they're only publishing 19 series right now, uh because Yozakura Family, Undead Unluck, Hakutaku, 3 series are ending, but they're only getting replaced by 2 series. So we're going from 20 to 19 for a bit. Hakutaku had potential but whiffed it, you think? That's pretty much what I said. Yeah. Like I thought it you missed the first part of the stream. That's funny, lol. Yeah. No, I basically what I was saying was like I loved the concept of Hakutaku. I thought it had the potential to be like the Bakuman of video game manga, but it wasn't. It was not that, and now it's not anything. Um yeah, so yep, yeah, the environment of Shonen Jump is really interesting now. Two of the two of the longest running series in the magazine have been discontinued, and now the second oldest regular manga, like the second oldest manga in the magazine that actually runs on a weekly basis, is Me and Roboco, which debuted halfway through 2020. Then Sakamoto Days is the next oldest after that. Then Elusive Samurai, then Witch Watch. We got a lot of like I feel like we're kind of in an unprecedented point for how few long running manga are in the magazine at this point. Like, like more than 5 years. Because it's exactly one manga that's regularly in the magazine right now has run for more than 5 years, and that's One Piece. And if you want to be generous, you can include Hunter x Hunter in that, which is very irregular at the moment. Um, yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of a crazy environment. It's going to be interesting to see like how most of the series in the magazine don't even have an anime right now. Well, actually, yeah, no, we're at a point where a decent chunk of them do actually. Me and Roboco has an anime. Sakamoto Days just started an anime, and it seems to be doing pretty well on Netflix right now, which I'm glad to hear. Elusive Samurai has an anime. Witch Watch is getting an anime this April. Blue Box currently has an anime. Um, and that's the list of manga and Shonen Jump that has animes right now. Akane Banashi inexplicably doesn't, but I feel like an anime for that will get announced this year. Rudy Dragon doesn't have one, but also it wasn't actually running for about a year after its debut. Uh, Kill Blue and New Ways Exorcist, Kagurabachi are all pretty young. Although rumor has it that a Kagurabachi anime is currently in development. Yeah, and then stuff that all debuted last year, which like yeah, we're not going to hear about animes for those for a while. One Piece is 1997, Hunter x Hunter is 1998, and then Roboco is 2020. Big jump there, lol. Big jump. A shonen jump. I regret that. I regret that. Um, yeah. Damn. Damn. Yeah, the yeah, like you have One Piece, and let's say you have Hunter x Hunter, and then the next oldest manga in the magazine is 32 years younger than that. I don't think we've ever seen that in the manga industry. I don't think we've ever seen that in the manga industry. That's very wild. That's very strange. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, manga, Shonen Jump. It'll be. I can't say I'm like super excited about either of these two new series, but I'm interested. I'll give them a shot. I give them a shot for sure, and we'll see how they do. We'll see how they do. I do think there's a chance that that Embers blows up against my expectations and does really well. Um, I don't think there's a chance of the piano manga doing that. I don't really think there's a chance of Bino Seisen blowing up. I just think it's in the wrong magazine. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I guess it's only 9, but I guess we don't really have other manga stuff to discuss. I might stop stream here and come back on Monday. It's interesting that the days of super long running manga that go on for 15 plus years are basically over. They either all ended by now or the long ones still going are the ones from 80s and 90s. The last newer long ones are Bleach and Jin Tom in the 2000s, with both being about 15 years. Everything after that goes at most like 8 to 10 years or so. Like, yeah, like My Hero Academia, that ran what, like 2014 to 2024? Like, yeah, about 10 years. Yeah, a lot of the other big Shonen Jump manga was considerably shorter than those. Like Jujutsu Kaisen was only ran for like really like 6 7 years. Yeah, we're definitely in kind of I think a new leg of the industry, maybe a healthier leg of the industry, honestly. Um, I think it's actually kind of nice that things seem to be ending more when the authors want them to end instead of like never ending, and then the author just gets sicker and sicker and their bones just shatter as they keep having to maintain a weekly schedule for decades in a row, you know? Um yeah, I think graduating from that era is kind of nice actually, especially like as someone who's been collecting a lot of physical manga. um I'm kind of cool with like series lasting for like 20 volumes or less, you know? Like I don't know what I'm going to do when Devin and I get hooked on a series that has like 50 volumes and we can't read it digitally. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Oof. I don't know if you heard my bones crackle just now, but there were some crackles in those bones of mine. But anyway, yeah. Um I think I think that's the manga talk for now, but oh, every time something new pops up in chat, I stay here a little longer. Although super long running manga have always been somewhat of an outlier, as even back then a lot of popular stuff only went for at most 6 to 8 years. But because most Westerners' intro to manga was Naruto and One Piece, etc., it made everyone think every action series is around the same length. That's not like a bad point. It's not a bad point. Honestly, I feel like the 90s is kind of this era where super long running series became kind of a norm, like it wasn't really a thing in the 80s, and then it wasn't really a thing anymore after the 2000s, but like if you debuted in the 90s, like your your series became like, if you were lucky, quote unquote, your series kind of became like a fixture and it wasn't expected to like ever end. Like hell, even Dragon Ball I think only ran for like 13 years. Which is crazy to think of, because it has felt like something that has been constant for most of my life, but actually it had already stopped running in Japan by the time I found out it existed. Isn't that like a wild thought? Isn't that a crazy thought? I think anyway. Unless I'm twisting my dates around, which I could be. Yeah, no. Yeah, ran from December 3, 1984 to June 5th, 1995. So like 10 and a half years. 10 and a half years, 42 volumes. Crazy how Hajime no Ippo started in 89 and Baki started in 91 and they're still going with no end in sight. I didn't realize that Hajime no Ippo was still running, honestly. You know what's also crazy? The Rookie starring Nathan Fillion is it's just got a new season. That's still running. I thought that series ended like 5 years ago. That's very tangential, but I was just reminded of it. Like I saw like a new trailer for The Rookie, and I'm like, The Rookie's still running? Like Nathan Fillion's still in things that aren't funded by James Gunn? Like I'm happy for him. I loved him in Firefly, but damn. Loved it when they stole his likeness and personality for Uncharted, but didn't actually let him star in any Uncharted related projects. But damn. Um well, I feel like I'm starting to be like it's like, no, you hang up. No, you hang up. No, I'm gonna leave. I'm really gonna leave this time. Oh my gosh, no. I have to go. I have to go. I don't know what I'm doing. It's been kind of an exhausting week for me, honestly. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to cut any manga talk short, but um yeah, I think I'll be back on Monday more with more Legend of Zelda Spirit tracks. Been chipping away at that game, making slow but sure progress. Gonna keep doing that until we beat it. Hopefully, I'm on my last couple full playthrough Monday games, so I don't want to bail on either of them. Um, and then yeah, and then Friday and Saturday I'll probably stream other stuff. I'll have to figure out what it is. Sorry there wasn't any stream Friday. Uh, yeah, I got held late at work. Uh, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to stream yesterday anyway, so I really should figure out what I'm streaming next Friday to ensure that I do stream next Friday. The author of Ippo said a few years ago that Ippo is 60% done, and that was about 1,200 chapters in. So I guess he's trying to get to around 2,000 chapters or so. That's way too much. That's too long, man. That's too long. Also, like, hold on. Okay, so he said a few years ago. It's been running since 91, you said? Or was that the 89 one? Ippo started in 89. So let's just say that in 2019, he said that the story was 60% done. That's like 20% per 10 like 89, 99, 2009. Yeah, 30. Wait, 99, 2009, 2019. Yeah. Yeah, so he's running for a little over 30 years so far. No. What? Yes? God, I can't even do math anymore. Yeah. 89. Because, like, One Piece had its 30th anniversary pretty recently, right? 97. I guess it had its 20th anniversary kind of recently, and it's coming up on its 30th. Yeah. So, okay. So, yeah. Baki's been running for like 35 years now. It's at the 60% point, and let's say set around the 30th anniversary that it hit that 60% point, then yeah, that is 20% per 10 years. So basically, he's saying it's another 20 years. It's going to be another 20 years before that series is done. How old is he right now? How old is that fucking guy? George Morikawa. That's very funny that his name is George. George Morikawa is currently 59. So like he's basically saying that he's gonna finish this story when he's almost 80, or like when he's like 75 years old. What an insane thing to say. Ippo is peak though, so it's worth reading. At the very least, the first three series are all on Crunchyroll and worth watching even if I stop after that. Is oh wild. Like that's right. That's right. They've um oh good. You said the first three, but it looks like you mean all three. It looks like there have been three anime adaptations so far. Um, Everyone needs to experience the Dempsey role at least once in their lives. And yeah, you should have said all three anime series. It looks actually like some of those series have been pulled from Crunchyroll, but they are all available on Netflix now. And it looks like the second series was only made available for the first time via Netflix. Anyway, um, I have been curious about Hajime no Ippo. Apparently, that's right. Apparently Kodansha has been publishing the series digitally for a while, which is pretty cool. Even if it's on K manga, which does suck. As far as manga apps go, K manga kind of blows, but it's cool that Hajime no Ippo is like readable in English officially and legally. That's pretty cool. You didn't know that? That's cool. Well, you know what? I can catch up when I stop streaming and have extra time. Yeah, I'll hit stop streaming and then I'll immediately start watching three fucking Hajime no Ippo series. Yeah, that's what I'll do with my time. Great idea. But okay. All right. I feel like I've chatted a decent amount. Yeah, I'll be back on Monday. Back on Monday with Spirit Tracks, and then on Friday and Saturday with something or another. It's yeah, maybe I'll do more 2024 catch up. I did finally schedule a recording date, um, for Goaty deliberations with my panel. So we'll be, you know, uh a little later in the month we'll be doing that. We'll be deliberating. So in the lead up to that, maybe I should play some more 2024 games. Catch up on some 2024 games that maybe I dropped and should play more of, you know. Yeah, I'll figure something out. Um but okay. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you soon. Have a good night.